Welcome back everyone to another episode of Vegetarian Cooking with JJ. Today I'm going to be making a very delicious sweet potato gnocchi. It's a bit more difficult to make in comparison to the potato gnocchi because of the sugar and the moisture content in sweet potatoes. Gnocchi means dumplings. It is a plural form of gnocco, which is used as an insult to call someone stupid. The word gnocchi originated from the word gnocchio, which means not in wood, or gnocca, which means knuckle. The gnocchi we know today is said to have come about in the 16th century when potatoes were introduced into the northern regions of Italy where they thrive. However, in the 1300s there was an earlier version of gnocchi based out of Tuscany. However, they did not include potatoes. Gnocchi in Italy is generally kept very simple. I'm going to add a couple of my own personal touches to this recipe, and I'm very excited to get started. So let's head over to the kitchen and get cooking. This is the gnocchi we're going to be making today. First of all, we'll preheat our oven to 425. We'll pierce our sweet potatoes and we'll pop them in the oven for about an hour. Now they're ready to come out. We'll just slice them in half. I'm going to allow them to cool off. Our sweet potatoes have cooled off, so it's time to scoop out our sweet potato. We'll just transfer them to a bowl here to make it easier. And I'll just mash it up. You can use a ricer as well. So I just put a cup of flour here on our surface. We're going to mix the flour as we go. We don't want the mixture to be too sticky. I'm adding a half a teaspoon of our ground nutmeg, and I'll add a tablespoon of our nutritional yeast. I'm just going to stir up the mixture of our nutmeg flour and nutritional yeast. Here I'm going to incorporate our sweet potato into our flour mixture. We're going to add flour gradually as we need. We do not want the dough to be too sticky. Also, we do not want the dough to be too tough. It is recommended that you knead it no longer than 10 minutes. Also, when you're done kneading it, you can let it rest for 10 minutes covered. If you add too much flour and over-knead your dough will become too tough. If you don't add enough flour, you run the risk of it all falling apart in your pot of water and becoming one big batch of slime. It is something you have to feel. Now our dough is rested, so I'm going to just cut it so that it's more manageable. First I'll cut it in half, and I decided it's best to work in quarters. We'll roll the dough out into a rope, and then we'll cut it up into smaller pieces. Now you can use a gnocchi board or you can use the back of a fork to create a texture. This just helps the sauce to stick to it better. In the northern regions of Italy, they are influenced by France and Germany, and therefore the sauces they use are likely a buttery sauce. Whereas in the south, where tomatoes thrive, they tend to use the tomato sauces. In Verona, they tend to use tomato sauces, and every year they have a festival that dates back to 1531. This features gnocchi, and it celebrates the generosity of a wealthy man, namely Dr. Tommaso de Vico. He provided funds to the poor people so that they could buy the basic ingredients to make gnocchi. At this festival, they also feature a man named Papa de Gnocco. He's dressed like a king, and he has a fork instead of a scepter with a giant gnocco on it. I'm just going to quarter our zucchini here. I'll pop them in a bowl, along with our grape tomatoes, and I'll coat them with some olive oil. I'll add some salt, I'll add some pepper, and some Italian seasoning. Drizzle on some balsamic vinegar. I'll give it a mix here. And we're going to roast these. The zucchinis will be ready sooner than the tomatoes, so I'm just going to separate them. I'll pop them in the oven and we'll check them in 10 minutes for the zucchini, and then the tomatoes will need probably 5 more minutes. We'll get our stovetop set to medium and bring a pot of water to a boil. We'll add some salt to our pot. Now we're ready to add our gnocchi. We'll just drop them in bit by bit. I'm adding some oil to the pot as well. We'll give them a gentle stir. I'm gonna get another pan on the stovetop, set it to medium, get it hot. Add our earth balance to the pan. Melt it up. I remove the zucchini from the baking sheet and we'll pop the tomatoes back in. Once our earth balance is melted, we're ready to add our sage leaves. I'm going to add the equivalent of 1 whole sprig. You're welcome to count the leaves if you wish. We'll cook it up. Give our gnocchi a little stir. All that beautiful sage flavor is going to infuse into our vegan butter. And our roasted tomatoes are ready. They'll add a nice juicy burst. Our gnocchi is all floating to the top, which means it's pretty much ready. So we're gonna set our sage butter aside for the time being. And our gnocchi is ready to come out. So we'll just scoop it up. You may want to reserve a little bit of water. And we're gonna add our gnocchi back to the pan with our sage butter and stir it up. We'll just heat it up and stir it about. On another pan, I'm going to dry toast some pine nuts. This will add a nice flavor dimension. And here I'm adding some garlic powder to our gnocchi. Gonna add in our roasted tomatoes and zucchini. We'll mix it up. We'll mix it up nicely. You don't want to overcook it though. In Florence, they have their own version called Strozzi Preti, and it means priest stranglers. It's all those priests that gobble down their gnocchi too fast because they're too hungry and too excited. So don't do that. Take your time to enjoy your gnocchi. And everything's ready. We're just going to squeeze some lemon juice on top. It's time to add our gnocchi to our dish. We'll top it with our toasted pine nuts. I'm gonna add a few dollops of our vegan cashew cheese. The brand name is called Le Grand. It is a chive and onion flavor. And I'm gonna top our dish with some chilies, a little bit of pepper, and some salt to finish it off. So now I get to dig in. It turned out amazing. The flavor combos are amazing. I almost forgot my wine. This one says it's supposed to be dry, but it's a little bit more fruity than expected. At least it's not too over the top. I would say it's a summery wine. So if you like this video, remember to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel if you have not already done so. There's going to be a new recipe every Monday, so stay tuned. I'm keeping things interesting in my kitchen and in yours. Bon appetit.
Alla gloria militar, alla gloria